Hey, welcome back, knife nerds and everyday care people. It's your boy, the Big Canucker here, and we have got ourselves something crazy exciting here. And I have to say that I am so damn excited to show this. I ended up heading out to Southern Alberta's newest Spyderco store, and I think the only Spyderco store in Southern Alberta here. Alberta Hardware and Firearms, located in beautiful downtown Fort Macleod, the bustling metropolis. They have got themselves a whole pile of Spydercos. They've got some Brownings. They've got some Bokers too as well. So they are developing a really excellent stock. They've also got some Demco knives that should be landing here any day now. And I know that I've got my name on one of those shark foot with the shark locks. I gotta say, you know what, they are an exciting addition to Southern Alberta, so don't forget to stop out there and talk to Stephen and Matt too as well. I apologize, I missed a bunch of their interview that we ended up doing in the last video, and it's just plain old user error on my fault. I thought I was recording and I wasn't, and we talked and it was, you know, and then the times when we were supposed to be talking off camera was on camera, then the camera was pointed way off into the ceiling, so hey, my fault totally. I'll get it right next time. We'll be doing some more stuff out there with Alberta Firearms, Stephen and Matt. And don't forget, if you are wanting to put one of those Demco knives in your pocket, and just give them a call. I'll make sure that the number goes online here in the description. Give them a call, talk to Matt or Stephen, and they will be more than happy to put one on hold for you and give you a call, give you a first crack at it when it arrives, and then you get your choice of a few. Because they've got some of the OS 8 ones coming. They've got some of the CPM 20CV high-end, even the ones that are machine ground, the ones that are Andrew Demco ground too as well. Those are coming. Those are going to be a little bit longer down the road, but I know that the minute one of those shark foots land is going to be in my pocket. Absolutely. I'm going to get one. Another thing I want to do here real quick, just a little off topic of those guys is, many of you guys know that there's only a couple of us Alberta knife guys here, and one of them is Canadian Cutting Edge, Jake up there north of Calgary, and Jake is heading into the hospital today to get some knee replacement stuff happening for him. So he's going to be under the weather for a bit. So please don't forget, just drop him a line, wish him well. He is a hell of a nice guy. And the OG Alberta knife guy is Jake at Canadian Cutting Edge. So if you haven't subscribe to him and you're one of my subscribers, head over to them to see him, look at his videos, subscribe to him, and drop him a get well soon, because he's going to be out for a bit, and I know that he will appreciate your guys' thoughts and prayers for sure as well. And he's no other guy deserves it more than him too as well. So there, Canadian Cutting Edge, it's Jake. Don't forget to stop and talk to him. So now back over to this thing here. It is this gorgeous Paramilitary 2 with the Cruwear and the canvas micarta. Let's have a look at this at the tabletop, and I'm going to give you a little bit of a story here on this. And I mean, I guess the big story here is the fact that I had a Paramilitary 2. It was probably my third Spyderco. It was my most kind of expensive knife purchase to date at that time. I mean, I had gotten some Tenacious, I had gotten a Resilience, and everybody online and their brother was talking about the Paramilitary 2. And this is way back when I first started collecting, and I was like, is it going to be worth that kind of money? So I ended up getting the least expensive one in my particular area here, and that was a Digicam one with the S30V steel. And when it hit my hand, it was, oh my goodness, it was fantastic. I was absolutely blown away by the ergonomics of this knife. Sal Glasser designed this, and he didn't design it with an eye, he designed it with his hand, and it tells when you put this into your hand. So, I mean, this is one of the first knives that I saw that I was really kind of, I was a little bit weirded out. I was new to the spider hole. I was new to the fact that the handle to blade ratio is so much different than a lot of knives out there. A lot of knives are close to 50-50, where this one here is kind of, 65-35 or 60-40. And it looked a little bit odd, but when you put it in your hand and when you use the damn thing, you're like, okay, now I get why they did it, and good on you for sure. It's amazing. So I ended up having that Paramilitary 2 for a while, and I have to say that with new exciting knives that were coming into my pocket, I got bored of my Paramilitary 2, and it's just the truth. And it didn't get very much pocket time. And, I dyed it, and I was back in my pocket for a little bit more after that. And I put a big scratch across the blade, and it kind of irritated me to look at that scratch all the time. And, but it was a working man's knife. And then I saw an ad for somebody to say, hey, I want to trade, this for a Paramilitary 2. And this here is a Benchmade 940. One of the OG ones with the CPM, the 154 steel on it. It's got a combo edge on it. But I had held this and I was like, oh, I got to have one of these in my pocket. One of these in my collection one time. And he wanted a PM2. I was bored of my PM2. So I sent him my PM2. I got this knife. I carried it for a while. And I immediately missed having a Paramilitary 2 in my collection. I was just like, oh my goodness. It's kind of like that... It's kind of like that girlfriend in high school that you smooched after school, but then when your buddy showed up, you just said, see you later, sweetheart. And then once she got tired of that and moved on to buddy next door, you were like, oh my goodness, baby, come back, come back. That's what it was like. It was like, I got bored of you, I'm going to go take something else for a ride. And, but when you're gone, I was like, oh my goodness, baby, I miss you. And I did miss my Paramilitary 2. Now, and this also here just gives you a little bit of kind of length, and it gives you an idea of the size of the Paramilitary 2, just in case you're not known. And then here, of course, we've got a Delica. And then, of course, I wanted to put this in there too, because I've noticed that a lot of people are, more multi-tool guys on my channel than they are knife guys. And that here just gives you an idea of the size of this. It's quite a large knife. This is here, of course, this is the Victorinox Spirit X, and this just gives you an idea. This closed here is, right around 4 inches closed, and so that just gives you an idea of the size of it. So let's get back here to this Paramilitary 2 and how I ended up picking this up. I went out to Alberta Firearms and Hardware, and I was looking at the stock, and this is one of the parts where I lost the footage, and we were going through all his stock, and these had just landed. He actually had 2 of them. So there is another one out there if anybody's interested in picking one of these up. I made the mistake of thinking these were a sprint run, but they are a regular production run, but they are sold out everywhere, including Spyderco's store in the States. They're sold out. They're absolutely, they sold out in minutes, these things. These are highly coveted, and I'm thinking there's one still over there in Fort Macleod at Alberta Firearms. So if you want to give if you want to give Stephen or Matt a call, check out and see if it's there. I'm sure they'll be happy to ship it out to wherever you want it. All right, so, and I ended up seeing this, and I picked it up, and I thought, oh my goodness, how light is this? And, this canvas micarta is amazing, and I'm going to kind of go over this as a review. I haven't used this for months and months and months and months, but I did use a Spyderco Paramilitary 2 for years, and there were some marked differences. I wish I had my old one here to show you, but in the hand they're very, very similar. So let's kind of go over this, the technical specs, and we'll go over some of the hits, the misses, and everything in between, okay? So the overall length of this one here is 8.29 inches, so it is sub 9 inches. The closed length is 4.82 inches, so it is, like I said, it's a big handle coming in almost 5 inches. Now the blade steel is 3.7 mil thick, or 1/45 of an inch. But you can see that it's got some good thickness here, but it tapers down to a very, very fine point. Now, this is definitely a knife that you don't want to pry with, that's for sure. It is known for its slicing ability with this full flat ground, but it is still beefy enough that if you have to really press into something, you can. And you are afforded some kind of a little bit of torsional strength in it too as well, because it is such a wide, flat blade. But that tip, like I said, that tip is not crazy strong, especially compared to some of the other ones out there. So you can see here where you've got so much more meat on this this 941. This 940, you can see that they've got the tip kind of strengthened, where this here is not as thick and beefy, but it is way more slicier. Now your clip, a lot of people wish this had the wire clip, but hey, I'm okay with this spoon clip. It is a 4-position clip. It's, tip up, tip down carry, as well as left and right carry too as well. Now the knife came from factory with a tip down carry, and I hated it right away. So I ended up pulling it right out, and it took a little bit for this center screw here to set in there. You have to really kind of press it in there, and then it grabbed, and then it tightened up really, really nice. But I'm totally okay with this spoon clip. I think it's great in the fact that it's got the shiny kind of stainless steel here rather than the. I'm less of a fan of the painted clip because the clip seems to be the part that wears really, really fast. And there's nothing worse than, an absolutely gorgeous knife that's developing an awesome patina and your painted clip is starting to chip and then it looks like crap, basically. But this one, I think this looks fantastic, and especially matching up with the satin finish here too as well. Now, your blade length is 3.5 inches long, which is the perfect EDC size, although you're a little over 3 inches on your actual usable blade length because you've got this kind of 50-50 front finger choil. And that, I'm okay giving up a little bit of that, kind of 0.4 of an inch to get that extra usability, because I think that extra 0.4 of an inch is less important than the control that you get from when you can use this front choil here in your hand. So that is that's for sure. Now the handle type here is canvas micarta, and I gotta say this canvas micarta feels really, really weird. And when I first saw it, based on the side profile, I kind of thought that this was cork. It just really had that kind of a tiny, it's not really spongy, it's almost like there's very, very fine suede texture to this. And I have washed this a little bit. I got it wet. And this is just about like every other micarta that's not, because you get some shiny micarta that doesn't do this, but any sort of micarta that doesn't have that kind of shiny finish to it, when it gets wet, it gets more grip in your hands. So if this is a knife that you're going to be using in a boat or something like that, this canvas micarta, when it gets wet, snowy conditions, it gets stickier in your hand and it gets easier to hold, and I absolutely love it. Now, I know there was some people online that were complaining that because this canvas micarta here thins out a little bit here, it's not as strong as, say, G10 in your kind of torsional rigidity. So what they've had to do is they've had to kind of give this kind of full liners rather than have them nested in there. And a nested liner here, and I wish I had something here. Do I have something that's a nested liner that you can see? No, not off the top of my head, I don't. But basically, your liner is kind of stuck inside there, and you don't really see it. You've basically got your G10 over top of it. That's all you can. If you look in the side, you can see it. But now this means your liners are completely flat with your micarta. And I watched a few videos online, and people were, I think they were getting a little bit grumpy about it, but with really no reason to whatsoever. First of all, I think this looks wonderful. Having that liner, that proud liner, that contrast in there, I think it looks great. Especially the bottom version here, I think it looks wonderful, and it doesn't add any weight whatsoever. This here, it comes in at 3.8 ounces, and your regular Paramilitary 2 with your G10 and the nested liners is 3.9 ounces. So you're not making this a chubby knife by any stretch of the imagination, and it is making it nice and rigid too. So yeah, I got no issues with this raised liners whatsoever. A lot of people were thinking that, with this being a new iteration, they could maybe do a little bit of quality control and, perhaps, change, this big lanyard tube that is kind of pressed in there and, some changes. I don't know. This is a classic knife, and it is, I think, fantastic. You've got a really, really nice, big, wide opening hole here. It's an oversized hole. I think most Spyderco opening holes are 12 mil, where this is 14 mil. And it's perfect for giving your old Spidey flick or your thumb, in any sort of position your thumb can open it. Any of your fingers can open it. I think there's videos out there people can open this knife 26 times with different ways to do it. And, hey, it's just a great fidget knife too as well. So let's have a look at some other stuff here. This is built in the United States. It is Golden, Colorado, USA Earth. It comes with Sal Glassers and Eric Glassers and Maker's Mark on it, so it's a kind of a collaboration there. It is a Cruwear blade, and that is a huge thing. Cruwear is a great steel. Now, S30V, we forget how good I think S30V steel is out there. S30V, when heat treated, and Spyderco has got the S30V heat treat absolutely nailed in perfectly. But what you're going to get with this Cruwear is you're going to get more edge retention. You're also going to get greater toughness too as well. So if you do happen to have that kind of that shock where you drop the knife, because lots of times these knives are dropped and you hit, you're hitting that edge right into some cement, you're going to experience way less chipping and stuff like that. And I also think you're going to get more toughness too as well. If you are, this is like I'm saying, hey, this is not to pry, but if you do happen to pry a little bit, I think you're going to be tougher with this Cruwear than you are going to be with the S30V for sure. Now, the only thing about this, and some people may not even be a bad thing for them, is Cruwear is not a stainless steel, so it will develop a little bit of a patina over time. Plus, I mean, if you do stuff like if you cut an apple or an orange and you've got the acidic juice on there, wipe it off. Otherwise, you're going to have yourself a stain on there, and that's just part of life with Cruwear. Although here where I am in Lethbridge, it's very, very dry. I don't have to worry about oiling these blades or anything. I don't have to worry about rust or things like that because we are such a dry climate here in Lethbridge. Oh, I just have to have a little sip of my coffee. Now, whoever is in charge of sharpening knives in the Golden, Colorado plant, you did a smoking job with this. This knife came wickedly sharp out of the box, close to one of the sharpest knives I've ever had out of the box. And the other thing I really liked about this is that the bevel was very, very even. I know that I have gotten some knives in the past where they are hand sharpened rather than machine sharpened, and the bevels are different, where this one here is amazing. It's an amazing fit and finish right out of the bat. Now, this did come perfectly centered. Now, the only thing with this that I had to do is I tightened this pivot up just a smidge. They have got, in this Paramilitary 2, they've gone to like a, what do you call it, like kind of a like a barrel inside there. So you've got your pin that goes through your pivot pin, but over top of their pivot pin they've got a little bit of a barrel, and that's what's actually turning over top of the pivot pin. And then they've got a couple of bronze phosphor washers in here. I don't know if you can see them, but it's like this system where, because a lot of knives, if you tighten them up really, really tight, you can actually adjust your blade centering over to the left or to the right depending upon how tight it is. Where this one here is a little bit different. It's going to be centered no matter what. All you're doing when you're tightening up this pivot is you're preventing any sort of side-to-side movement, and you're also kind of the drop shuttiness. And this knife was so drop shutty that when I closed it, it banged into the thing here a little bit and it sprung halfway open. So I wanted it to be just a smidge tighter than that. So I ended up tightening this up just a little bit, and it didn't move the knife left or right at all. It kept it bowed dead center. It just gave me that tiny bit enough friction where it wasn't so drop shutty that it was kind of banging around there a little bit. So this is an extremely fidgety knife with this lock here, this compression lock. Now that is one of the highlights and one of the selling parts of this compression lock. Now, this compression lock is one of Spyderco's toughest locks because it almost mimics a liner lock, but it throws another pin inside there. So like a triad lock is basically a back lock with a center pin on there that takes that. Basically what happens is you've got your knife blade, you've got your pin, and you've got your lock, that all the three of them combine into a extra strong stable platform. And that's what this is doing. This is adding that extra pin inside there with a liner lock and the blade tang to add an extra long, stable, stronger three-piece closing or locking mechanism. And the other really, really nice thing about it is when you do close this, your fingers don't have to be in this blade path whatsoever. So if you've got this way with a liner lock or a frame lock, your fingers are in the way and they have a chance of being cut. Where this one here, basically you can close it and you can even open it if you want, all without having your fingers in the path whatsoever. There. And I'm not sure. I wish I would have had another PM2 here, but it just looks like, it seems to me that they've ended up kind of opening up this a little bit too as well. This seems a little bit larger than just the regular S30V, and it is so comfortable. Like, I've got really big double XL hands, maybe even triple XL hands, and it is awesome. I can close that with my finger, no problem. So the compression lock is definitely one of the funnest, strongest locks out there, and a Spyderco staple too as well. So, man, oh man, what am I going to do with this? Oh, one of the other things too as well is, as far as kind of a little bit of a negative on here, is this canvas micarta is also going to get a little bit of a patina on it too as well. The oils from your hands, it'll kind of eventually discolor this a little bit, and that can be a good, that can be a bad. But what is kind of bad about it is, maybe you can't see anymore, and you know what? Here you can see where it's darkened a little bit. What I ended up doing is I put some thread locker in these. When I move this over this way, I put some blue thread locker on there, and a little bit of it squished out and it gone onto the canvas, and I wiped it away and it was stained. And then the other thing here too as well is I ended up putting just a little bit of lube down in there, and some of it came through one of these holes here, and it kind of stained this end of the micarta for a bit. I took some rubbing alcohol and I kind of got in there and I wiped it down, and I was really hoping that, because it was stained for 3, 4, 5 days until I took the rubbing alcohol and I kind of wiped it away, and then it looks like most of it is gone. I mean, in real life you can see that it's just a tiny bit there, but I didn't like the look of that. So this micarta, if you're dealing in like really oily areas where, if you've got something like G10 or carbon fiber, that if you get some oil on it, you can always just kind of clean it up, and especially use some solvent. Or this here, if you get some oil on it, it's going to stain the micarta. There's no doubt about it. And I don't know how this would react to multiple degreasers going on here. I don't know if it's going to react to that. So that is kind of one of the negatives on it. But other than that, I think it's absolutely gorgeous. The shape is classic. And I would definitely recommend this, and I would give this knife here is going to get a 9 out of 10 for me. The only little tick is going to be on it is the fact that this micarta can stain. That's it. Other than that, this is near as perfect an everyday carry knife as you can get, and I am so happy that Stephen and Matt out there at Alberta Hardware and Variety and Firearms had one and sold me one, and hey, they've got one left if you want one. I definitely would recommend this knife every single day. And yes, it is going to be a regular production run, not a sprint run, but it is also selling out like crazy. So if you don't want to be paying $500 on a secondary market, give those guys a call, or just keep your eyes open on Blades Canada or Knife Works, all those places. They may have them, but you got to be very fast because they sell out extremely quickly. All right. Hey, thanks so much, you guys, for stopping by. I'd appreciate it so much. I want you guys out there to please stay safe. Keep your stick on the ice, the shiny side up. This is the Big Canucker saying adios.